You Can't Make This Shit Up, Episode 18, Beer, Trans, Farts, and the Moon.
Hey guys, Paul here, Tom here, and it's been a while since we did a You Can't Make This Shit Up. I thought it was about time we did another one, and Tom agreed. So, of course, it took us about 2.5 seconds to find four stories that you can't freaking make up. Um, I got to tell you, it's not a challenge to do this discussion. It's
No.
not like, oh my God, where can we find some weird stories, to talk about? We just haven't done this in a while, and I thought it was a time to get back to it. And we'll start by cracking open a beer. Tom, what do you
Crack
think?
the beer open, baby. Let's
Let's
go.
crack the beer open. Um, you may be familiar with the rather famous criminal drug lord, um, El Chapo Guzman.
El Chapo.
El Chapo. If you've watched the news in the United States at all, you see that film clip over and over again where the authorities have grabbed the back of his neck and they're walking him from plane to plane. And they stop and they turn his head toward the camera. Here, look at him. We got him. They turn his head back and go. Well, that face when the head turns is now on a bottle of beer. And and the beer is appropriately named El Chapo. And this is a weird story, Tom, but I gotta say, I gotta admire his daughter was the one that did this.
Yeah.
And of course, her daddy's in prison for life. What's he gonna do? Uh, he might order her execution from prison, but I doubt it. I'm sure she's doing this with his permission. Um,
Absolutely. He'd like it.
yeah, absolutely. I think he probably liked the fame as much as any other great big, great important criminal in history. Um, he his image is on the beer, and all I can say is, it doesn't matter. I don't think the beer tastes like shit. I think they'll sell a lot of it.
You're going to try it?
Um, if I see it in Kroger, if I yeah, and I'm not even. I mean, these days I don't drink beer or anything like I used to when I was young. I
Yeah.
have occasionally just have a beer. So if it's in Kroger and they sell it in singles, I'll probably buy one to try it. It's 4% alcohol. You can read a link below, which makes it not a particularly strong nor a particularly weak beer, about middle of the road. I'm sure it has a nice hoppy, perhaps cocaine flavor to it. You could think of a million one-liners to go with this, but I'm just going to say kudos to the daughter, Tom.
Yeah, man.
She thought, what am I going to do now that my drug kingpin daddy's in prison and I don't get all that money from the dealing of cocaine worldwide? I'm going to have to make my own money. Hey,
And she's
well,
going to make it legally.
yeah, she's going to make it legally, and she will not end up in prison, but her dad did. I'll take that, guys, as a hint to the men of the world. Uh, you can make money legally. You don't have to go to prison behind it. Now let's just see how it sells. But I think that's a good introductory story. The daughter of El Chapo Guzman is selling beer with the drug kingpin's visage on the bottle, and it is aptly named El Chapo. And
Indeed.
if you're a beer connoisseur, you may want to go check it out.
Gotta try a bottle of Chapo.
So what's next, Tom?
Oh,
That
God,
was a
Paul.
quick story, but it was just to introduce and get us in the mood for the real weirdness that is to come.
Fasten your seatbelt.
All right, I'm locked in,
Oh,
man.
God. Here's the title. UK. Trans man with non-binary partner gives birth using female sperm donor.
Tom, read that one more fucking time,
I
please.
think, yeah. UK.
Slowly.
This is from England. Trans man with non-binary partner gives birth using female sperm donor. Paul, I had to read this article 3 times before I started to understand it. I still don't think I really understand it.
Well, it's because it's on its face, it's not understandable. There is no such thing as a female sperm donor. I don't give a damn. Man, whatever pronoun you go by, you're fucking crazy if you think
Well,
there's such a thing as a female sperm donor. They do
well,
not exist.
a female to male trans man and their non-binary partner, have had a baby in Brighton, England, assisted by a trans doctor and a male to female trans woman sperm donor. So let's break this down, Paul. Reuben Sharp is the trans man. He went trans 12 years ago, taking lots and lots of testosterone, and got a beard, and we'll show pictures up there. You can see what Reuben and the partner
I take
looks
it
like.
that he still has ovaries.
Aha. So
Okay.
Reuben told the doc, I'd really like to have a baby. Is it possible? They said, well, yeah, you still have ovaries and your uterus and whatever. You can try it. So for 6 years, they tried. And he stopped taking the testosterone and started taking fertility drugs. And there's all kinds of stories about what happened. I think one was that they had so many eggs come out that they had to stop it altogether because it was apparently might have been a sextuplet or something like that. But
yeah, men do that all the time.
So that's the story with the father-mother, the trans man mother, father, whatever you want to see how confusing it is. The partner, 28-year-old Jay, was born a woman but had double mastectomy and now identifies as non-binary. Okay. The sperm donor, Paul, was a trans woman who still had a penis and balls.
Yes,
and of course, they had a trans doctor. The fascinating thing is this looks like two really nice people with a beautiful little baby. When you look at the pictures, it's like, wow. And maybe they are. I think we need to understand that the whole testosterone flood thing is related to both sexual orientation and gender identity. And sometimes it goes haywire. Sometimes you're going to have people who want to have sex with the same sex. Sometimes you're going to have people who think they are the opposite sex, even though they're in the wrong body. And so this happens. It's not.
And I know I'm cutting up and laughing and joking because the title to this
article is so bizarre.
It is bizarre.
It's worth laughing. I don't mind laughing about this, but I also at the same time respect these folks for they are pioneers in a certain way. I mean, my goodness. But listen to some of the quotes, Paul. Listen to some of the quotes. I actually liked my pregnant body and liked being bigger. It was very affirming, and I really enjoyed it. I'm a man, and I get pregnant. How's that for a quote? I'm a man, and I get pregnant. I don't think pregnancy is the ultimate female experience. Therefore, it didn't challenge me as a man. Okay.
No, wait. Like again, in all fairness, I don't have anything against these people. I'm sure you're right. I'm sure they're nice people. I don't
know that they're nice, but they look nice. They look like nice folks.
I will assume that because I generally assume people are nice until they do otherwise to me.
Exactly.
And I have nothing against them. It is the language that I think is the problem.
Yes. And it's brain twisting.
This is a woman who got pregnant by a man's sperm.
Yes.
And had a baby.
Correct.
You can take all the hormones you want. You can have surgeries if you want. You can do all kinds of stuff for gender transition. If you're pregnant, you're a fucking woman. I don't care what anybody says.
Paul, you just can't make this shit up.
You really can't. And it is, I think the idea is that bothers me about this is not coming necessarily from the couple.
Right.
It is now the assumed pressure that we must absolutely, whenever somebody says, I'm a man, despite the fact that they are not a man,
right?
We must fall in line with that and publicly acknowledge and yes, accept that you're a man. I don't have to do that. I mean, it's not that I'm insensitive. When I deal with trans individuals, which I have many times.
Yes, me too.
Talk to them directly.
Yes.
I respect their personal preference for how to be addressed,
Yes.
because it's not so personal to me that I want to undermine a communication with somebody
Right.
by rejecting that.
Right.
I'm just talking about on a social level. Do we all have to accept that trans women are female? And I don't accept that. Biologically, they are male.
Well,
Physically, they're male.
if you do accept that, you run into some real problems, like they're going to have now with the sports and women, trans men, trans women in sports with other women. I mean, this could
That's the
be some.
funniest. To me, that's humor, Tom. That's just funny
Well,
as
there
hell.
you go, and that's you're going to pay a price for unwillingness to bend with things like
And
this.
guess who's paying the price for it? Because it ain't men.
You're right. It's going to be women.
It is women. That's
I heard the
right
other day,
now.
Paul. This is
Girls'
another.
high school sports are being undermined by this thing. We have
Exactly. Yes.
biological males competing against girls who cannot compete with them.
Yes.
There is no competition. The moment one trans individual, a male, a biological male, enters a combination against girls, all the girls lose
But Paul,
automatically. They can't
there's
compete.
no differences between men and women. It's all socialization.
Yes, of course. That's what the feminists tell us. It's like,
I gotta tell you about something I saw the other day. I saw this article where it said, "Man arrested for pedophilia. His defense is that he identified as an 8-year-old girl."
well,
That's another. You can't make this shit up.
the courts in Canada would accept that as an affirmative defense.
Well, and if you believe this stuff and hold it to the fire, then yes, that would be an interesting defense. You know.
He
Anyway,
identified as an 8-year-old girl. Oh, Lord.
let me read one more quote, then we'll move on.
Okay.
The couple are confident their family situation will be seen as normal as the baby grows up surrounded by like-minded people in their hometown of Brighton.
Surrounded by like-minded people.
Well, maybe, but the couple are confident their family situation will be seen as normal. I mean, to me, that was like, okay, no, it's not going to be seen as normal.
No,
but you can love them for who they are.
And it doesn't make them bad or wrong.
Right, exactly.
But it's not normal.
Yes, yes. Just like trans is not normal.
Yes, the whole thing is abnormal.
Yes.
And keep in mind, I want to say this too. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I am really sympathetic. I can't imagine what it would be like to be afflicted with a condition that you looked in the mirror and saw a male, but genuinely felt female on the inside, that your thinking and everything you were driven toward. Can you imagine just the conflict that would put you in with yourself, with your self-acceptance and identity?
And the confusion.
I feel for anybody going through that.
The confusion too, and we both know Xander and Max Valerio. I love dearly. I mean, these are good folks.
They are
good folks.
Absolutely. And their stories, because they're honest folks, their stories about their transition and how the world experiences them and how they experience the world are not very politically correct. They don't fall in line with the feminist or left-wing narrative about. Xander even has said many times, people ask him, how does it feel to have male privilege? When all he experienced becoming a male was that the world quit giving a fuck about anything about
Exactly. The world stopped listening.
And so again, this stuff is brutally hard. My objections to the political end of this are not matched by my personal feelings about trans people.
Exactly.
It's very different.
Yes. Well said. How about number 3?
How about number 3? Man, I tell you what.
Make a transition.
You thought the last story was weird. Let's get to normal heterosexual people and see how fucking weird they are.
God.
This guy, I want to make sure that I get his name right, so I'm going to read from the story here.
Yeah.
This guy is a Japanese billionaire named Yasuku Maezawa. And he is a very, very rich dude that has decided to sign on to SpaceX for a trip around the moon. And he has advertised that he wants his next special someone in life to apply to go with him. He wants a girlfriend. Now, let's look at this one. The first thing I'm thinking, this is publicity, because, if you're a billionaire and you can't find a girlfriend without coughing up about 10 million for a trip around the moon.
Is that what it costs?
Well, yes. Well, the SpaceX seats or anything, the trip just to the outer atmosphere, there is a layer, and I forgot what it's called. But once you get to that barrier between the outer atmosphere and outer space, that trip is $250,000 just to do that. But this guy wants to fly all the way and do an orbit around the moon and come back with his new girlfriend. I guess that's a great way to get to know each other. You're going to be in close quarters. But he apparently already has 30,000 applicants.
No.
So I did some digging and I saw this covered on a news story. This guy has 30,000 applicants. And I'm thinking, man, that's kind of brilliant in one way. He's got 30,000 hoes lined up. Now, I would be there pumping up city all the way. 30,000 of you, and I'm sure there's a non-disclosure agreement that's going to come with this. You just sign this NDA. Now let's talk about how bad you want to go to the moon with me. I think it's a great scam. So, and this guy has done other stuff. Like, for instance, he has advertised that as a social experiment, he has 7 million followers on Twitter. He wants to give 1,000 of them 1,000,000 yen, which translates to a little over $9,000 US currency, to see if the gift makes them happier. Of course, this guy doesn't give a fuck if the gift makes them happier. This guy, this is his way of getting cameras on him and media from around the world. I mean, it's obvious that this is what he's doing.
Huh.
But I think it's very telling. This guy says, I'm going to spend X amount of dollars, and I'm sure like I said, the trip to outer space is $250,000, and tickets run upwards of tens of millions of dollars, which I'm sure you're getting into that range when you're talking about going to the moon and back. So he's paying for himself and one other person to do this, or he's claiming that he's going to do this. And he had almost overnight 30,000 women sign up to say me on this. I'll go with you, Mr. Billionaire.
Wow.
And 30,000 women. And this was just out of the pool, because you got to assume that the majority of the public is unplugged from social media. We think that the social media in this represents the whole population. It doesn't. It's just a small percentage of it. So as this story gets out, I bet he gets 300,000 that sign up. And I think you talk about a story about hypergamy. It's not this guy that's the story. It's those 30,000 women that have already signed up. Right. Blindly. I'll go with anybody that's a billionaire, and I'll even risk my life at something like getting on a rocket, strapping myself to a rocket and going into outer space to the moon and back, which is still a very dangerous thing to do. I mean, I wouldn't do it. I mean, I would have very serious thoughts about it. And I sure wouldn't do it so I could hook up in a relationship. But you've got all these women, tens of thousands of them, and there will be more before this is over with, that are like, yeah, sure, I want in. I'll compete with all these other women. Here's my body. Take it.
Did you notice that he said in the thing that he said, I'm looking for that woman who I can be with for the rest of my life.
Oh, yes.
Become my one and only, blah, 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 blah. So he's playing right into their...
Yes, and he said his loneliness since his last relationship was setting in, the deep darkness of my life. Oh, God, is this a hypergamous fishing hook or what? He's fishing it out there. I'll save him, and I'll get some of those billions of yen while I'm at it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I wonder if like Joe the cab driver said, I'm taking to Manhattan and back in my cab. How many women would apply for that? I don't think it would be 30,000.
Probably not.
But look, you read about it below. This is, I think, a fascinating story. Really, it's a story about a guy that knows how to get cameras on him. I had shades of Donald Trump going in my mind, but Donald Trump wouldn't agree to give shit away. Donald Trump is the real deal. He'll get the cameras on him with whatever he tweets.
Yeah, that's probably true too.
But this guy is out there marketing himself, but he's making a great big statement about women, even if he doesn't know it.
Indeed. Can't make this shit up, Paul.
Space hose. I love it.
Space hose. Oh, God. Should we do the last one?
Yeah, let's do the last. Let's save the stinkiest for the last.
I was going to say, it's kind of a stinky one. Oh, well. Are you ready for the title?
I'm ready.
Woman farts in store, pulls knife on offended customer. Cops. Woman farts in store, pulls knife on offended customer. He smelled it, and she dealt with it. A Florida woman who passed gas in a convenience store pulled a knife and threatened to gut a man who complained about it, police said. So this woman is standing in line in a dollar store, and behind her is this guy who's standing in line, and apparently she let out with some voluminous farts.
Yeah, they did point out it was loud.
And the guy complained. I'd love to know what he said. She became very offended, and apparently an argument ensued about her farts. And she got so upset she pulled out a knife and threatened to kill him. Although they said
I'm going to gut you.
I'm going to gut you like I do that catfish in the river. So you can't make this shit up, Paul.
Well,
what would you do if you were the guy standing behind her?
Well, I think this is the trailer park version of my shit doesn't stink. And it's not. I've never had a woman threaten to gut me over the principle, but I've met plenty of women whose shit doesn't stink, and apparently this woman's farts are not supposed to stink or not supposed to bother anybody.
Yeah.
Entitlement, thy name is woman. What can I say?
Oh boy, exactly right. No one should be complaining about her farts.
And now I understand that she was arrested for aggravated assault.
Aggravated assault, non-lethal.
Non-lethal. So apparently it was just a threat. She didn't make any actions to actually cut the guy. I guess cutting the fart, cutting the guy. There's jokes there somewhere.
She was booked at a detention center in Pompano Beach where her bail was set at $2,500.
Okay, so a slap on the wrist.
Well, that was just the initial bail. So who knows what happened after that? And we do not know yet what happened. And I never did find out, although this happened a while back. So maybe the next
I always have a challenge with these stories, Tom, because when it's a woman arrested for some reason, the follow-up news stories about what happened, what was she sentenced to, it all just seems to disappear.
Yes, that's true. And anyone out there wanting to find out what happened, you can put it in the comments section. Her name was Shanetta, Shanetta, Yvette, Yvette Wilson, aged 37 at the time of the difficulty, which was in 2018, I think. So let us know what you find out. Oh, man.
Yeah, if you live in Pompano Beach, Florida area, and you have access to talk to cops about what happened to the I guess fart bandit or what?
I bet they'd still remember.
Oh, yeah, that's not one they're likely to forget. But it is, I think, a story about, I see the YouTube videos sometimes of people, and it's usually women, going crazy at a McDonald's about not getting their hamburger on time,
not
or their
getting the sauce.
Yes, the sauce wasn't ready, so they're acting out, trashing the place out and threatening people. Almost always a woman.
Yep.
doing this.
It's true.
And anytime you see the 9/11 tapes where the one woman wanted the sheriffs to come out to McDonald's because her order was late. And she literally called 911
Yeah.
to say that she wanted police out there over her order. I
Female
think
privilege.
this is along the same lines. I'll just fart right in your face. And if you say anything about it, I'll cut you.
Yeah. Female privilege, Paul. At
Female
least she was
privilege.
arrested. At least she was arrested.
Oh, God.
Oh, God is right. So
One of these days, Tom,
what?
we're going to say, let's do a You Can't Make This Shit Up. And we're going to go out there and there's not going to be any weird stories.
I think I'm going to die first, Paul.
Yeah, a couple times.
Yeah, a couple of times, exactly. Oh, well.
Oh, well.
Are we finished?
Anyway, there's 4 more for the record books.
4 more for the
Links
record.
below if you want to read all this crazy and insane stuff.
And there'll be 4 more coming up sometime in the future.
Yes, there will.
And we'll look forward to seeing you all then. Until then, sayonara.
Take care.
Farts, Chapo, and
Be good. Take your red pills every day.
That's it. We'll see you
If
then.
she farts, hope you're packing.
Yeah. We'll see you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.